All right, good morning, everyone. Today, I want to talk a little bit about the best human diet. I get so many questions all week long, whether it's through digital messaging, through emails, text messaging from my patients, from people who are not my patients, all asking what is the best human diet that they could be following, or what's the best diet for weight loss. And the reality is that there isn't one. After working with so many people over the last 15 years and literally seeing transformation in these individuals' health and their lives, I can honestly say that there's no such thing, okay, as the best diet. Some people eat plant-based diets and have amazing transformations. Others eat meat-based diets and have amazing transformations. Some of these people eat high carb diets, others eat low carb diets. There's dairy-free, gluten-free, all the other potential allergen-free diets. You've got all the different dietary templates, right? You even have people who eat whatever I want as long as I get enough protein and fats and I'm healthy kind of diet. And the answer is they all work. Every single one of those, I've seen individuals lose weight. The common theme is that they all stayed consistent and they all gave their body enough time to actually determine what was working and what was not working. Now, when I look back and I look through these files, we're talking about months. I'm not talking about a month. I'm not talking about a week. Some people change their diet and they expect major transformation within 4 weeks. You're just not going to see that. Sometimes you're going to see that people will gain weight before they lose weight. Sometimes you'll see the opposite. People lose weight and then they start to gain weight. There's so many factors that you have to unravel when it comes to body composition, when it comes to putting consistent energy into your body and asking your body to transform that energy into something useful that it can then do that is appropriate with your goals. So keep that in mind, is that we really need to be paying attention to things over time. And the truth is 3 months is hardly enough to really see how a particular diet template is going to be impacting your body. In this manner, we need to be more interested in exploring what works rather than what you're being told is right. So how can such different nutrition programs all lead to positive results? Well, they're honestly not as different as you might think. Most effective nutrition programs are more similar than different. Yes, even if it's a paleo diet versus a plant-based diet, they're actually more similar than different. When done properly, paleo diets, plant-based diets, high carb diets, low carb diets, eating small meals frequently and eating large meals frequently or infrequently, they all accomplish the same things. Number one, they raise nutrition awareness and attention. And quite honestly, that's got to be the most important thing, is that when we really start to pay attention to what we're putting into our body and literally take inventory of every single thing, not just measuring it, but just being aware of the quality of the food, that matters. I know everyone wants to talk about the food itself, right? How much protein should I eat? How much carbs? How much fats? That works, by the way. Okay, measuring that works. But we get so concerned about what to eat more of and what to avoid. The research is now showing that simply paying attention, paying better attention to what you eat is a key factor in whether you'll lose fat, get lean, and improve your health. Whether your attention is trained on avoiding carbs, whether you're paying attention to eating more vegetables, seeking out organic, free-range food, avoiding grains, avoiding animal foods, or non-paleo food, it's all good. It all works. That's what the research says, is that every single one of those works. Because what you focus on may not matter as much as simply caring more about what you're eating in the first place. Number two, these dietary templates focus on food quality. Paleo and low carb advocates are going to want you to eat more natural, free-range, animal-based foods that are higher in protein and fat and minimally processed. Vegans and high carb advocates are going to want you to eat more natural plant-based foods that are higher in fibers and antioxidants and they're minimally processed. Do you see what's common there, right? Between those, very few nutrition camps are going to recommend that you eat more processed, chemical-laden junk food. That's the reality, right? So avoiding ultra-processed foods, avoiding food bars, avoiding butters, nut butters instead of actually eating nuts, applesauce versus just eat an apple, right? So looking at whole foods, that's the idea there. Instead, pretty much every camp is going to recommend, like I just said, eating whole, minimally processed, nutrient-rich foods. And that may be one of the most important nutrition interventions of all. Regardless of your protein or your carb and your fat breakdowns, it's just paying attention to eating whole foods and paying attention to what you're eating. Number three, these dietary templates help eliminate nutritional deficiencies. And that honestly is the most significant. Most people don't realize that their nutritional deficiencies are what's actually contributing to their dysfunctions and why they feel so bad. And in keeping with that last point, the best nutritional advocates are going to help us shift away from highly processed foods. Again, protein bars, right? Not as good as slices of chicken, or a vegan protein bar. Not as good as eating all the plants that are going to take protein in. Consuming applesauce, completely different than apples. Now, all of these, again, we can look at different types of foods, and a lot of the processed foods that you're going to see that Americans typically eat are low in nutrients, or they're eating too many foods that maybe have nutrients, but those foods are not going to be, you're not going to be able to absorb the nutrients in those foods as well as other types of foods. In other words, somebody that's eating a vegetarian diet and they want to fill up on protein, and the best way to do that is going to be through beans or through seeds. That's not the best way, because those foods, beans and seeds, you're not going to be able to unlock the nutrients in those foods. You've got to fill up on your plant-based proteins, not the beans and seeds. And so typically that's where plant-based individuals or vegetarians, that's why they don't do so well, because they're not eating enough of the food that they need to eat in order to match their protein intake. Then you have individuals that are on the other side of the camp where, they're just eating a bunch of meat. Meat's great, but it's not going to provide all the nutrients you need. If you're going to be a carnivore or eating a bunch of meat, you also need to be taking in nutrients to be able to fully digest and absorb that meat. Organ meats, for instance, would be a great way for somebody that's more on that end of the spectrum to balance things out. So just think about that. Again, paying attention to the full spectrum. Are we getting the nutrients that we need? So again, a properly designed diet of any kind eliminates some of the most common nutrient deficiencies. And what are the most common nutrient deficiencies? Water, certain vitamins and minerals, proteins, and essential fatty acids. Now, this is huge because we often look, feel, and perform terribly when we're deficient in these nutrients. And I can attest to this. I study so much blood chemistry. So many people have horrible nutritional deficiencies. That's the first step that they need to take before thinking losing weight or hormone balancing or improving any other symptom, because you need nutrients for your body to function. Number four, these dietary templates help to control appetite and food intake. When we're more aware of what we're eating, when we're choosing more satisfying, higher quality foods, and we eliminate nutrient deficiencies, we almost always end up eating less total food, because we feel more satisfied. And so therefore we lose fat, we gain muscle, and we perform better. Now, focusing on food awareness and food quality is usually enough for most people to tune in to their own hunger and appetite. And remember, you got to do it for enough time, right? So 1 month of that is not going to be enough. 3 months of that may not be enough. You actually have to pay attention to this over time. And that means calorie control without having to calculate. Again, we're not really focusing on calories per se. We're just willing to pay attention to the types of foods that we're eating regularly. Now, again, all that said, when we look at dietary intake and we look at all the different types of foods, hopefully you can understand how different well-designed dietary philosophies, they all work, right? And so where can we go from here? How can you synthesize this message that I'm sharing with you? How can you determine what's the best diet for yourself? First of all, choosing a single dietary camp makes no sense. I think the most diverse diet is the most important thing. And a universal whole foods diet is really going to be the best diet. A diet, regardless of high carb, low carb, high fat, low fat, plants, meats, whatever it is, as long as you're getting whole foods, as long as you're getting a full spectrum of nutrients, it really doesn't matter what type of dietary template you're talking about. So there's not one absolutely, positively, without a doubt, best diet for everyone. Humans have evolved to do well under all sorts of dietary conditions. And that's why I'm personally happy to help people find the best diet for that individual, no matter their dietary preferences, really. Now, unfortunately, there are many people who have abnormal nutrient status, metabolic dysfunctions. They have certain health conditions where I can prescribe a certain type of diet because we know that diet is helpful for that. And also because templates are easy to follow. But that doesn't mean that's where we end, right? That's just the beginning to get things back to balance. So let me be clear. The best diet is the one that you can adhere to the longest, and it's the most satisfying. And it also helps you to achieve the best results for you. Number two, most popular diets actually have a lot in common. Like I said, most popular diets, when they're done with care and attention, and basically they need little coaching. They help you to regulate your appetite. They help you to improve your food quality. And they also just raise your nutritional awareness. So in closing, I just want you to know that that any one of these diets can help. The question is, are you following a diet that makes you happy, that you can continue tweaking and experimenting with over time, that's going to help you to achieve your results? So that is where we want you to be when we're talking about identifying the best diet for you. I hope that really makes sense. If you have any questions surrounding that, if you need some help, please reach out and you let me know if you need any support in terms of trying to help you to identify your best diet.